We're here to celebrate the launch of Tony Christie's new book, Labyrinth, Your Path to Self-Discovery. If I was asked to describe Tony, he doesn't know, he hasn't seen this now. So if I was asked to describe Tony, I would say he is both a nester and a seeker. A nester in that he is completely at home in himself. He's a loving family man and a great friend, as many of you, I'm sure, will already know. As a child and still today, Tony is passionate about sport and particularly athletics, encouraged from an early age by his wonderful parents, Breda and Peter, and Breda is here today. At one of his early cross-country races, Tony came flying around on the first lap, but as everyone else came around for the second time, Tony's mum noticed that Tony was nowhere to be seen, so she went looking for him. Finding him on the ground, barely breathing, having a severe asthmatic attack, and thankfully Tony's mum was a nurse, she knew what to do. Now this might have been enough to put some children off running or athletics in the field, but not Tony. Which leads us to the seeker. A seeker is one who looks for the path and follows it. One who has a knowing within that there is more, something that is calling you forth. So around 14 years ago, when Tony first came across Labyrinth, there was an immediate spark. It was a case of ready, set, go. The more he worked with the Labyrinth, he found himself being led by spirit on a quest of self-awareness and self-discovery. He followed each step. He went to Chartres in France to become a Veridicist facilitator, and later to America to do his advanced facilitation Labyrinth training. Always spirit was right there with him. Tony will happily spend hours writing, researching and meditating. In 2012, Tony published a deck of oracle cards called the Labyrinth Wisdom Cards. It took him 7 years to do the card deck. He wrote the accompanying booklet and painted each card himself, even though he had not painted since the age of 10. He used to say, if these cards benefit just one person, it will have been worth it. Since he self-published the cards, he has received messages from people all over the world who have been uplifted by the messages from the cards. In June 2015, we were married on a Labyrinth, of course. Magical day. 3 months later, he decided to leave the 9-to-5 job so that he could dedicate himself full-time to bringing the messages and the benefits of the Labyrinth to more people, and to finish writing his book. Tony, as well as being an advanced Labyrinth facilitator, is a Labyrinth artist, designer and Labyrinth builder. He has given Labyrinth workshops and lectures all over the world, including Hong Kong, Australia, America, Canada and Europe, with regular workshops in the Netherlands. Tony is passionate about his work. From a young age, Tony felt a strong connection to Melchizedek, and while working and meditating with the Labyrinth, a method of healing through the Labyrinth came to him, which he calls Melchizedek Labyrinth Healing. My granddaughter, Ella, who is here somewhere, loves running the Labyrinth in our back garden. And I noticed at a young age, at 3, she's 6 now, but around the age of 3, she would run the Labyrinth, and sometimes just as she was coming around maybe this 3rd or 4th circuit, she'd stop and she'd scan the Labyrinth. I wondered, did she know that she'd stepped over a line, or was it just some instinct within her? And then I realised that she was tapped into the Labyrinth. She had a feeling and a knowing that she needed to check. This just goes to show how much the Labyrinth can affect us from any age, from the age of a baby, a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old. And the latest latest labyrinth that Tony has constructed is in a primary school here in Cork, so those children and teachers are going to have great fun. Tony is honest, empathetic, patient, caring and full of joy. His knowledge and wisdom of the labyrinth is amazing. He has dedicated years to the study of the labyrinth and its many connections to life and the consciousness. He has spent endless hours contemplating its meaning. Tony is one of those people who truly talks the talk and walks the walk. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Tony and his new book. And through the book, Tony introduces you to the labyrinth and its multiple meanings. He takes you on a journey where you will discover the beauty within yourself and your connection to the divine. It is a life-changing book. So here is Tony Christie.
Thanks, Fionnuala. Thought I'd get somebody who would be unbiased. So you're all very welcome. There's a few people I'd like to thank. Christie here in the library just for hosting this event. I'd like to thank Breda, my mother, for having the courage to be my mother. I'm sure at times she's wondering what's Tony going to do next, you know, so I hope you'll have many more years of wondering. And especially I'd like to thank my wife Fionnuala. Fionnuala is probably responsible for me being here because oftentimes people ask me how did I get introduced to the labyrinth or how did I get into the labyrinth. And my introduction to the labyrinth was one evening Fionnuala had a deck of angel cards, and as you do we were picking one just to see if there was a message for us in that. And I picked this card, and it was called Melchizedek's Labyrinth. And 14 years ago or more, that's, I think, what triggered something in me, and I can't fully explain. It wasn't like there was flashing lights or anything, but it was something sparked inside me. And from there, really, I got interested in labyrinths and bought books. And all along my path, Fionnuala has been mainly walking beside me, sometimes in front of me, dragging me along, and sometimes behind me, giving me a kick when I needed it. But mainly beside me, and particularly, as she mentioned, 3 years ago, when we got married on the labyrinth and walked in together side by side and took our wedding vows at the centre of the labyrinth. The smallest labyrinth that I know of in the world. It's on my wedding ring. It's on my finger, and I carried it with me. 7 millimeters in diameter. So, just for people who are not familiar with the labyrinth, and I know some people may be new to the whole topic and the whole subject, just a very quick introduction. So what is a labyrinth? It's not a maze. A maze has dead ends, it has choices, it's designed to get you lost and get you confused. It is amazing. So is a labyrinth. But the labyrinth has one path from the outside to the centre. Just one path. So it's a symbol of your journey in life. It's designed to help you find yourself. The labyrinth, for me and for many people who are working with it and walking with it, it is our path to self-discovery. And as one does at these events, there's a few little pieces I have marked in the book just to give you a taste and a sampler. At the very start of the introduction, I wrote, in life you experience a series of doorways, gateways and openings to love, light and wisdom that, if taken, will bring you to a higher state of existence. So you were at a gate, a doorway, an entrance, an opening. Perhaps like me, you got here via a circuitous route, the labyrinth of life. But rather than looking back to see how you got here, pausing briefly to consider where you are can bring you to realize that you're at the doorway to your future. The entrance to the integration of your inner and outer world, a gateway to self-discovery and to fulfilling your life's purpose. And again, rather than focusing on the past, for me the labyrinth the most significant learning I've had from the Labyrinth is to realise the significance of every moment. And I speak of that by referring to, we're here now in the library, Cork City Library, Tuesday the 24th of July. And it's significant that you're here, it's significant that I'm here talking to you. But it's significant where you're sitting, who's sitting beside you, who's sitting in front of you. And in my book, and in my workshops, there are 3 aspects to all of them: knowledge, experience, and reflection. And these 3 aspects you will find in any path of spiritual growth, whatever your beliefs and traditions are. So in this book there are many chapters. I give some knowledge about that subject of that chapter. There's an experiential exercise at the end of each one. And then there's time for reflection, because you need to allow the knowledge and experience to infiltrate deeper so that you take your next step. And I've also found, working with the Labyrinth, that there's an energy or a certain awareness that comes with the Labyrinth. And it was Mozart, I think, who had said that music is the space between the notes. When I speak in the Labyrinth, I find that the awareness and your own self-awareness and consciousness is in the space between my words. I pause at the silence, it's like you can almost cut the air. And for some reason, when I speak in the Labyrinth, that energy seems to keep rising, and it brings an awareness. Because the first thing that the Labyrinth does is it quietens the mind. It's a walking meditation to quieten the busy mind. And when your mind becomes quiet, then your awareness becomes heightened. And when your awareness is heightened, you're open to receiving insights and guidance to life's issues and whatever is topical for you at that time. I mentioned doorways and gateways, and we are always getting signs if we're aware enough to see them. So in 2016, Fionnuala at the end of 2016 travelled to Australia, and I was doing, I think, about 7 different workshops. And we were travelling to the Blue Mountains in New South Wales near Sydney up. We decided we'd drive to see some of Australia. We probably wouldn't do it again because we were driving for days. And we had stopped in Byron Bay, and we knew we had to leave early the next morning because we had about another 7 hours to drive. And so I looked up the internet and seen where would we get the breakfast, and it was quite near where we were staying. So we said, we get the breakfast, we'll be on the road early. We went to the cafe or restaurant where we thought we were going to get breakfast, and they had just had a power outage. And Fionnuala likes her eggs cooked and hot, so I said, okay, we're going to have to go down to town. And there's quite a lot of places in Byron Bay to eat. We were walking along the street trying to find a place that felt right for us, because that's what we do. We eventually found one restaurant. We went in there. There were 2 seats by a table over against the wall. And we sat down there. And there were a lot of signs on the wall for concerts and different events on. And whatever way I looked, right in the middle of all the posters, there was a sign with a Labyrinth on it. And I went, whoa. So I took a picture of it, because you don't very often see signs with Labyrinths on them. Well, I don't, and I didn't be looking out for them. And I posted this on Facebook and Instagram. Just say, what do you think of this kind of thing? Is this interesting? And the lady who had put up that sign, it was for a temporary labyrinth in Byron Bay between November and December in 2016. Somebody told her, or she came across my post, I think somebody told her about it, and she messaged me and said, well, actually, first of all, I looked to see how many places there were to eat in Byron Bay. There was 143 on TripAdvisor. She said, I only put that sign up in one restaurant in Byron Bay. It got me thinking, okay, what was guiding me, or both of us, to find the one restaurant, first of all, to sit directly under the sign? It was certainly very significant for me. And then I started thinking, did something cause the power outage in the first restaurant? I said, whoa. The Labyrinth would take it on a rabbit hole of wonder and excitement. In 2005, shortly after learning about the Labyrinth, I went to Chartres Cathedral in France. There was a week-long program there, and to train to facilitate Labyrinth. So this is the cathedral in Chartres. This is the Labyrinth. It's the biggest symbol in the cathedral, 42 feet across. It's amazing. Normally covered in chairs. But I'd spent over a week there, and I was saying to the people in the training, how am I going to introduce the Labyrinth to people of Cork when I come back? And I didn't know, what was I going to, how would I do that? And I came home and I walked into a shop and I picked up this leaflet, and Cork at the time was European Capital of Culture. And 2 months after, I was in Chartres wondering how I'd bring the Labyrinth to the people of Cork. On the front of City Hall, there was a Labyrinth hanging out. Not my work. The final event in the Cork European Capital of Culture was called Labyrinth's Pathways of Light. And there were labyrinths hanging up all over the city. There were labyrinths painted on many parts of the city on pavements. There were people and groups being asked to make labyrinths all over the city. One of my favourite ones is made by a small group of children, a youth club made up near the Opera House, made from potatoes. And I was actually helping them make it, and they ran out of potatoes halfway through. So she said to one of the older kids, here's, go down to Tesco and buy another couple of bags of potatoes. This is one of the labyrinths on the Grand Parade, just here by Bishop Lucy Park. You can see 2005, the whole landscape and streetscape is completely different. So there were lots of temporary labyrinths at the time. Eventually, 3 years ago, there's a permanent labyrinth in Cork City now that's open to the public in the grounds of St. Finbarr's Cathedral. I wasn't involved in building, but I was certainly advising the people who built it. So it's at its inauguration with the Church of Ireland Bishop of Cork walking the labyrinth. As well, the labyrinth is a symbol of view, and rather than read the whole book and tell you all about the book, you're going to have to explore some of that yourself. But it's a symbol of view. Within the labyrinth, there are different aspects of it that are related to different aspects of view. There are 7 circuits, you have 7 energy bodies or chakras, and each one of these relates to that aspect of view. There are 9 turning points, and each of these 9 turning points is an aspect of your journey in life, your physical journey and your spiritual journey. You'll find the 4 elements, earth, air, fire and water in the labyrinth. This is one of my paintings where I've merged 4 labyrinths together. I don't know whether you can see that or not. But when you move through the 4 elements, you come in touch with the 5th element, which is the quintessence or spirit or God or the divine, whatever name you wish to put on it. That's all in the book. It's also, just go back one. There's also a story of Theseus and the Minotaur, which was a creature with the head of a bull and the body of a man that ate human flesh. And Theseus, stepping into the labyrinth is stepping into yourself. It's the hero's journey, it's getting to know yourself. There may be some fears or anxieties along the way, but once you decide to face them, they will dissolve. Fionnuala mentioned Melchizedek, and as I said, from a very early age, I had a connection with Melchizedek. Melchizedek was a personality in the Old Testament who actually blessed Abraham going to battle and was a teacher of all the nations. This is Melchizedek's labyrinth. It forms a cup, which is the cup of your energy body, and it's very special, and I do a healing based on this as well. This is a labyrinth that was, if you look closely, you'll see the library in the back left of that picture. So it's over by the footbridge going to Sullivan's Quay, just over here. And it's the words of the banks of my own lovely Lee are painted on the lines. You know how it goes, how often do my thoughts and their fancy take flight to the home of my childhood away in the valley of Slievnaman or something like that. But I was walking this labyrinth one day because I decided I went to walk all these labyrinths in the city. And I was kind of, as I was walking this, something inside of me, there was an elderly gentleman with 2 bags of shopping from Dunn's and Patrick Street, and I knew he was standing looking at me, so he was trying to get my attention, so I kind of our eyes met, and he just looked at me and said, it's a dead end. And like, I was been taken back and said, what? It's a dead end. And those words struck something in me, because how we see things differs in some ways from maybe how others will see them. And so I'm going to go to the end of the book and just read another small little piece. I said, having considered this man's observations many times over the years, I am grateful to him for helping me to see my labyrinth walking my life in different ways to how others might see them. Perhaps on an immediate physical level, labyrinth and life look like dead ends. Yet when you step beyond the threshold into the world of the unseen, the world of energy, the world of spirit, you are on a journey of exploration with infinite possibilities. One man's ending is your beginning. The labyrinth is a multi-dimensional device where you can experience endings and beginnings on many different levels and dimensions. So just as the physical path of the labyrinth appears to end, a new path on another level or dimension is available to you when you are ready to enter. Every moment that you experience, every thought that you have, every word that you speak, and every action that you take is a new beginning. So choose carefully your thoughts and your words and your actions. It is your choice whether you choose to see your life as a series of endings or a series of beginnings. And having travelled the path of the labyrinth in this book, you may ask yourself the question, am I there yet? This frequently posed question is one for the linear mind and presupposes a goal somewhere in the distance. Yet the labyrinth is not linear. You are not linear. And your soul's journey is not linear. In seeking something outside of yourself, even via the labyrinth path, you're distracting yourself from knowing that the ultimate there is here within you and all around you. Therefore, the question to ask yourself is, are you here now? Am I here now? And it brings us back to where we started. To this moment here in the library, to this place, to this time. And we came here to launch the book, which has been a big part of my life probably for the last so many years. I forget even when it started. But whether or not you have a glass in your hand or not, or whether you just, I'm going to ask you to either raise your glass, raise your hand in energy, because I want you to raise it from your heart, and from your heart in a place of love. Because we want to launch this Labyrinth book, launch it with love from our hearts, so that it'll go out to the world and it'll touch the hearts of everybody who it can benefit, whoever and wherever that may be. So when you're ready, Labyrinth.
Labyrinth.
Thank you very much.